Yo, what's going on? You are tuned into the Undisputed Champ Sports Podcast, baby. This is Preston. Before we get started, this is not an episode of the podcast because I don't do episodes of the podcast without my guys, my brothers, Tommy and Carmine. Man, I'm tongue twisted today. But this will not be a review of SmackDown from Friday. I just want to say some things about the show, but I really want to talk about the ending and how much I love the ending. I loved it so much to the point where one of my friends abandoned me. It's gotten that bad. Seriously has gotten that bad. But before we get into that stream of consciousness that I want to go through in a few seconds, since we're here, since you guys are listening, please come back tomorrow. Listen to our Hell in a Cell review. It's going to be very entertaining. You guys are going to like what you guys hear. If you guys agree or disagree with us, please let us know. And I'm sure you guys are going to do that. It's social media, so people do that regardless. Now let's talk about SmackDown. This is not a full review. I just want to say something about the presentation real quick, and I will get into the ending and what happened with my friend. And I want to tell you why I love it so much. Why I love the ending so much. Let's talk about the presentation. The presentation on SmackDown was phenomenal. Amazing. It was great. It was great. Now, if you guys are avid listeners to this podcast, you know I'm the Raw guy. So for me to admit that SmackDown is doing something that I'm really blown away from, it's saying a lot. The presentation. Let's just start off with how the stage looked. That looks amazing. It reminds me of the 99-2000 SmackDown, but it looked more robotic now. But the lights and the lasers in the background and the big screen and everything, even the cameras stepped the game up. They're so crispy, so crisp and clear. It looked like they had sniper scopes on the camera because when The Rock was there, I can see every pore in his face. And I thought AEW had the best cameras in wrestling. I really thought it. That's one thing I praise AEW for, the cameras in their stage, but SmackDown said, hold my beer. They came in with, I don't know if it was 16K cameras. Those was crispy. I saw everything on everybody's face. I can see the details on people's shirt. In the crowd, like all the way in the nosebleed section, it was crazy. Now that does all depend on what type of TV you have. But you know. I ain't gonna lie, I ain't gonna flex. I used some tax money to buy this TV, so it's not like I got it like that. But that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about SmackDown. Now, when they said sports presentation, right? They've been saying this for months. A lot of the SmackDown fans were like, we're going to get sports presentation. It's going to be so amazing. Sports this, sports that, sports everywhere. You get sports. I'm like, what do you guys mean by sports presentation? No one can give me a valid answer, but I think they gave me some valid answers tonight. One of the other things that I took away from the presentation that showed me sports presentation is the graphics. This is one of the main things that I praise NXT for all the time, is that their animation and graphics, that Full Sail staff do an amazing job all the time. Now, I can go on for days about the wrestling on that show, at least for takeovers. It's always amazing, but I've always praised the graphics on that show. And the graphics and the animation always look better than the main roster shows. But SmackDowns look great. But there are people who are hating on it because they're like, you know what? This looks like they took Monday Night Football and Thursday Night Football's template, turned it blue, and then added some wrestlers in there instead of football players. And you know what I have to say about that? Guess what? I got a secret. It's a secret, man. That's the point. That is the point. They told us sports presentation for months. So you're mad because it looks like a sports show? That doesn't even make any sense. Why be mad about that? Yeah, man, it's supposed to be sports presentation, man. I can't wait till it's going to be crazy. Oh, man, why does it look like sports? It's supposed to look like sports, and I love every second of it. It looks great. Two more things I want to say about the presentation before I get into what I was talking to you guys about in the beginning of this episode of the podcast, which is not an episode of the podcast, but a stream of consciousness, right? The super cameras from an airplane over the arena. I liked it. Once again, sports presentation. Any football game, any basketball game that you watch, when it's halftime or we're coming from a commercial break, at some point you're going to see a swooping camera view of the stadium and the surrounding areas. Just like you watch football or basketball or any sport for that matter, for the most part, you're going to see a swooping camera of the Staples Center. You're going to see a swooping camera of the United Center. You're going to see a swooping camera of the Oracle Arena. You're going to see that. And I hope SmackDown continues to do that. I really like that a lot. Please continue to do that. Now that we got that out the way, I think there's one more I was going to say about the sports presentation. Whatever, if it's not important right now. But let's get into the final thing that everybody has been pissed off about. People are on social media going crazy and mad and pissed and angry and arguing and getting ready to kill each other. Even my own friend abandoned me for my position on this. Because I loved the ending of SmackDown. I thought it was phenomenal. Even the match between Brock and Kofi Kingston. And I was arguing with my friend like pretty much the morning, and I tried to argue my point and say, hey, I loved it. For him, he basically came back and said, you know what? This conversation is over, bro. And he knows I'm going to say this, so it's not even anything, whatever. It's over, bro. You ride Brock Lesnar's D so much, man. I don't understand why there's no blood stains in your drawers. That's it. I'm out of this chat. Bye-bye. I'm like, okay. Granted, he's a big Kofi Kingston fan, and he avidly hates Brock Lesnar. So he's biased on both sides. So yeah, he's getting very emotional about this. He hates Brock Lesnar. But that's fine. I don't care. You know what? I can go back and forth with anybody. I can play the dozens with anybody. I can crack jokes or roast anybody. It doesn't mean anything. I mean, it's not anything serious, but he was pretty emotional, as a lot of people were emotional online about this too. If you didn't know that the Brock Lesnar versus Kofi match ended in like 5 seconds, Kofi Kingston tried to jump and do a punch, which I don't understand why you would jump and put yourself in a position to get into Brock Lesnar's finisher. Doesn't make any sense at all. But I understand why a lot of people are pissed off about it. Because WWE, the way that it's been, it has preconditioned us to think certain things are supposed to end a certain way. We're always looking for a story and everything. That's how it's been for a long time. And the reason why I love the way that this match happened, for one, is because of that. Because it broke all preconceived notions on how it should have been done. One thing that I saw on Twitter that was shared to me by my guy Carmine, by my co-host on this podcast, Carmine, the man of the hour. He shared it to me, a tweet that Lance Storm said, and I agree with his sentiments 1,000%. I've been saying that all morning, and people were mad at me about it, but he said it so eloquently on his Twitter. I just want to go ahead and read it really quick. He said on here, give me a second. He said, in MMA, when a fighter charges across the cage and gets caught with a flying knee and loses in 7 seconds, fans will scream lucky shot. Analysts will say, we didn't really learn anything. Who knows what can happen in a rematch? Because the guy that got caught, anyone can get caught. He continues to say, if you are unhappy today with what happened between Kofi Kingston and Brock Lesnar, that's on you. You want a sports presentation? Now you got it. He's on point about that one. And that's basically what I've been trying to convey to other people. People are so focused. Man, this thing happened at WrestleMania. It's supposed to be like this, man. We're supposed to at least get a fighting chance when he loses, man. What are they doing to me, man? What is Vince doing, man? It doesn't make sense. Why did this match end like this, man? But Seth Rollins got hit some blows in and got some curb stops in, and he beat Brock twice. Why did Finn Balor's match not end like this? Why did Daniel Bryan match didn't end like this? But guess what? You make the WWE champion lose a match this way on the first ever SmackDown? What was the point of that, man? They didn't sound like that, but I couldn't think of a voice to kind of mock it. But I hear the sentiments. We're preconditioned to think a story is supposed to play out a certain way because we're so used to WWE taking templates from the past and reapplying it to now. So everything's becoming too predictable, and we're assuming that things should happen a certain way. And I would say that with the pattern of WWE anyways, a lot of the times people think they know what WWE should and shouldn't do, but there's a lot of times that they do the complete opposite, whether it be for good or bad. And that's the thing. I agree with Lance Storm, because if we're going for sports presentation, when you watch any sport, especially football, any given Sunday, anybody can get it. It doesn't matter what you think is supposed to happen. It doesn't matter what the story is. Any given Sunday, anybody can get it. And I love it. It makes things so unpredictable at this point. And the reason why I say that and I love it is because when I was a kid, when I used to watch wrestling, one of the main things that made the show a lot more entertaining to me, other than the fact that we have legends like The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Chris Jericho, Rey Mysterio is still wrestling now, but we had so many legends going on back then with talent, and The Rock displayed it on SmackDown that he's so many light years ahead of anything we've seen ever in the history of wrestling when it comes to touching that mic. Pause. But one thing for sure, that when I look back at it and I analyze it, the thing that made it so exciting for me is ignorance was bliss. And I think for me, and this is just for me, what's kind of messing up wrestling for me a little bit and making it not as entertaining as it used to be, it's not about the writing all the time. Yes, the writing has to be good, and I think WWE has in fact gotten better with that. But it's the predictability of everything. And so many people, it's so predictable that people are predicting things and they're happening exactly the way people predict it. And that takes away from wrestling sometimes. Sometimes when I do reviews, when I'm doing things where I'm doing a prediction show, I'm actually saying the opposite on purpose of what I think is going to happen, just so I can be surprised if it does happen. But it's so predictable now that it's like, okay, what's the point? But if you have a sports presentation where at the point where you don't know who's going to win, it's going to be watching a normal football game. Any given Sunday can happen. We can think it's going to be the Patriots versus some team that sucks and say, hey, the Patriots are going to blow this team out, which this probably would never happen, but I'm just using this as a terrible example. And let's say, God forbid, the Patriots get blown out by a team that we thought that the Patriots were going to blow out. Just like last week, we knew the Bills had really good defense, but we didn't know the game was going to be that close. Because we saw what the Patriots were doing to everybody else. The same goes for wrestling now. And I think that's phenomenal. And on top of that, all the people who are online who think they know everything, they cannot say much about it now. They have to look at it like it's sports. They have to talk about it in the sense like, hey, this should be the reason why he should win, as opposed to saying in the back of their mind, they know story-wise, this is the reason they should win. That's what used to make it so cringeworthy when they have those pre-shows, when they have people like Not Sam on there, or you have Booker T, when they talk about the wrestlers, or they talk about before NXT why this person should win, why this person should lose, because they know in the back of their head that it's so heavily scripted. In the back of their mind, they know according to the way that the storyline is going, there's no way this person is going to win, but I'm going to act like they are. Now we don't know. I don't know if they're still going to get information as to who's going to win or not, but now, at least us as an audience, we don't know for sure how they're going to win and if they're going to win. And I think that's great. I think that's the way it should be. And I think that's what's going to differentiate this show a lot from Raw. And I love this idea. I love it. Not only that, Cain Velasquez coming out at the end, a person who beat Brock Lesnar in a match in the UFC. I think that was a great booking. I thought that was amazing. Why not? I don't know if they're going to do the whole thing where the heavyweight championship is only going to be between people who are actual heavyweights. I don't believe that's going to be so, but if that is the case, I would not be surprised and I would not be mad at that at all. If we're going to go more into this sports-like presentation. We got to let it go, man. We got to let go. We think it's supposed to happen all the time. It's okay to be upset. I got upset when my Rams got lost against the freaking Seahawks, the way they lost. When Zerling lost a field goal that he hits almost all the time. But it's sports. The guy that you want to win, the story that you follow, the people you think are supposed to make it to the end and win. And nobody knows it more than I do when the Rams went to the Super Bowl last year and lost again to the same team that they lost to before, the same quarterback and coach that they lost to before. Nobody knows that more than me. But it's going to be fine, man. It's going to be fine. It's going to be sports, man. And I'm so glad. And when it comes with this claim Velasquez between him and Brock Lesnar, I would hope a crown jewel. And one thing I kind of worry about is, will Brock Lesnar have enough composure and control to the point where he's just not trying to actually beat up Velasquez from having PTSD from their last match? That's what I'm wondering. I just hope he just have PTSD and just try to kill Velasquez. But I will hope they will book it in a way where it turns, and it looks like it turned into a real fight where they had to stop it. And then their actual rematch, like they do, which I feel like behind the scenes they do a boxing, and we all know it happens that somebody would throw a fight or the judge will lie and say it's a draw, and we'll have the real fight somewhere else at another time, which I hope they kind of do that with this match and move it forward to one of the big 4 pay-per-views, because that's going to be the money match. I like it, man. I like it all. I mean, too bad for Kofi Kingston. I'm not saying I'm happy that it happened the way it happened to him, but you know what? The only way that you can revolutionize wrestling is to do something different, and you can't just put a new coating on an old car and say it's a different car. You're not going to give me a 1992 Honda Civic and put a body kit on there from a, I don't know, 2018 not a Monte, but a Camaro or something and tell me it's a brand new car. No, change the way we look at wrestling. And I think that's what SmackDown is doing. And I think they're doing a hell of a job of that. If they continue to do it this way, I think they're doing a great job at it. Well, that's pretty much the end of my diatribe. But you guys let me know what you guys think. Once again, please check out our review for Hell in a Cell for tomorrow. I really appreciate that. Me and my guy Carmine and Tommy, we will be here tomorrow talking about Hell in a Cell when it's over. And it's good to know. Thank you guys for listening. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Peace. Have a good day.